Turns the corner. Oh! Got a body! Oh my goodness! Cunningham in the lane. Will drop. Tipped up and off. Banchero clears it.
Oh my goodness.
Banchero. And it's out of bounds and will stay with Orlando.
We gotta see this back. We're talking about taking it to the rack. Oh my goodness. He didn't go around him, he went over top. Someone called his mama.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
Filthy. Absolutely filthy. Disgusting. That was one of the nastiest dunks I've seen in a while this season. Definitely the best dunk we have in the playoffs so far. Good Lord. And it was at that moment when Jamal Cain completed that dunk, even though the game was still close, even though there was plenty of time left in the fourth, it was at that moment I was like, nah, it ain't happening. Detroit's about to go down 3-1. It is not happening tonight. Ain't no way. No way. I'm not even an Orlando Magic fan. I should be. I grew up in the area over half my life. I grew up around Orlando Magic fans, but I was a Laker fan. I was a Kobe guy. I wasn't a T-Mac guy. But anyway, the Detroit Pistons, one of the best teams in the league this season, the regular season. The number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference with 60 wins, despite losing their best player for the last couple of weeks of the season. Without him, they continue to win and maintain a grip hold on that number 1 seed. A lot of people, they thought they would drop off. They thought Boston would catch them. They thought maybe New York would catch them. No, they held fort. Kudos to them. But what we're seeing now, my Lord. Now, I've heard a couple people say before this series even started, or if not that, after the first game when the Magic won, they thought the Detroit Pistons were in trouble. They didn't just think it was a fluke game. They're like, no, I see some serious matchup problems there. In which, yes, after that first game, I did see that the Orlando Magic had some things that the Detroit Pistons did not have answers for. But I still thought that they were good enough and good enough defensively to still win the series despite not having enough high caliber offensive players to match up with Orlando, right? Anyway, I still think the Detroit Pistons can win this series. But I think it is very unlikely based off what I've seen. Man. And you know what? If you're watching that game, it honestly felt like the game wasn't as close as it was. Like, the Pistons had several opportunities to win this game. They only lost by 6 points in Orlando, but just based off the energy and what I was watching the Magic do and what the Pistons do, I would have thought there was more of a gap between both teams when it comes to the score. The Orlando Magic played with more heart. The Orlando Magic played with more physicality. Now, don't get me wrong. Both teams were playing physical. They were battling, but the Magic just proved to have more juice at the end of the day. They played with more energy. They had no back down in them. And I'm watching this game, and I'm watching Desmond Bane laughing. Third, fourth quarter especially, laughing. In people's faces, laughing, giggling, hitting threes, bank shots from three-point land. Laughing in, what's that boy's face? Duncan Robinson's face, laughing in other people's faces. I was like, oh man, this ain't looking good. He having fun out there, despite this being somewhat of a close game, a tough game, physical game. He's out there smiling and laughing all throughout the game. I was like, this isn't good. If I was a Pistons fan, I would be infuriated. It reminds me of, what's that guy's name? He used to play for the Denver Nuggets years ago. Kenneth Faried. He used to irritate the hell out of me. So when he would play the Lakers, and they would be blowing us out at times. Kenneth Faried is catching all these alley-oop lobs. Kenneth Faried is over here getting putbacks, cleaning up around the bucket, things like that. High energy plays and just laughing, smiling, laughing, giggling all throughout the game. I just wanted to strangle this guy. Strangle him. The Detroit Pistons are definitely in trouble. I cannot tell a lie. And when you actually look at the raw numbers, you know, there isn't that much difference in scoring when you look at how they performed versus the Orlando Magic. They both shot in the 30 percentile from field goal range. They both shot in the 20% from three-point range. They both shot in the 70s from free throw. But I'll tell you the big thing, and this was the Orlando Magic's intensity and also the Detroit Pistons' carelessness. The Detroit Pistons had 20 turnovers. 20 turnovers compared to the Orlando Magic's 10. Twice as many turnovers, and you lost by 6 points. I think that is a big reason why they lost. And Cade Cunningham has got to take better control of the basketball. Take better care of the basketball, rather. 8 turnovers. He was looking like LeBron James out there. 8 turnovers. And if these other guys aren't scoring on the Pistons, well, they're leaving Cade Cunningham on an island. They're just going to load up on Cade and make it more difficult for him because they ain't worried about these other guys scoring. They're not. They're absolutely not. And thank God for Tobias Harris, because if Tobias Harris hasn't been showing up, not just this game, but other games as well, I think the Detroit Pistons would have suffered a much heavier loss or a wider margin, rather, if it wasn't for Tobias Harris, right? 20 points. I know Cade Cunningham had 25, but Cade Cunningham took 23 shots, 11 three-point shots. Shot 7 for 23 and 3 for 11 from the field. Tobias at least shot 8 for 17 from field goal range. Didn't hit any of his threes, but he's been more or less consistent from game to game. And where the hell is Jalen Duren? Jalen Duren's supposed to be his right-hand man. A guaranteed 20 and 10, bona fide, at a minimum. Yo, the playoffs the playoffs will make boys out of men. You will see who are the real shining stars and who are not. So these guys also got to hit their shots and step up to help take a load off Cade Cunningham. But Cade Cunningham has got to play better. Detroit as a whole has got to play better. And their defense is so good, it still allowed them to be within striking distance. They still had a chance. Their defense allowed that, but the Magic just had a little bit more juice than they did. And the Magic did not seem worried about it at all. And not only if it wasn't for Tobias Harris, like, I'm also looking at the fact that Jalen Suggs was an absolute dud in this game. Like, if Jalen Suggs had showed up, they probably would have lost by... If Jalen Suggs and Paolo Banchero showed up, they probably would have lost by 20 points. Jalen Suggs had 5 points, 1 for 13 from the field, 2 free throws in 35 minutes. He was an absolute dud. Now, he was doing other things on the floor to help contribute, but offensively, he provided little to nothing. Little to nothing. Desmond Bane had it going from field goal range and three-point range. You could count on Desmond Bane this game. And Paolo, his shots weren't falling. He was 4 for 18 from the field. 0 for 4, so the Magic didn't necessarily play great either, but they did all the intangibles, the high effort, the high energy, and brought a little bit more tenacity and vigor that the Detroit Pistons didn't really counteract enough to at least get the victory. Shout out to Franz Wagner, man. I like watching that guy play. I like watching him play probably the last year and a half. I've been watching him. He's a quality player, absolutely. Did somebody check on Commissioner Dynamo? Is he doing okay? I haven't checked to see if he put out a video yet, but I can't imagine Commissioner Dynamo's doing okay. He's the biggest Detroit Piston fan I know on YouTube. Especially the Orlando Magic's front line there, man. They've been getting busy in the paint. They've been hustling on the boards. They've been meeting bodies with bodies. They've been definitely making it difficult on that Detroit Pistons front court there. No question about it. I was rather impressed with Orlando. I have to admit. Like I said, a couple of people on this channel said, nah, the Orlando Magic is taking this series. Y'all know who you are. Those of you that picked the Magic despite them being an 8th seed, y'all know exactly who you are. It ain't over yet, but it's looking good for y'all. Y'all called this one. Y'all saw it. Y'all thought the Detroit Pistons were fraudulent. Y'all thought it was a bad matchup. And I understand there are bad matchups, but sometimes I think even though the matchup may not be in your advantage, you're still that much of a better team where you can survive the matchup issues. But the playoffs are a different beast. 7-game series is not necessarily, playing a team, 2 to 4 times a season, with weeks or sometimes even months in between. It's a different beast, man. There's going to be constant adjustments being made from both sides. They're going to look to expose and exploit weak points, chinks in the armor, cross matchups, things like that. So playoffs are a different beast, man. You never know what can happen, man. It's been interesting for sure. I know Detroit fans are flabbergasted right now. You already know that. They thought this year was going to be their year. They absolutely did. This will be the year the Detroit Pistons go to the finals. They were even picking the Detroit Pistons over the Boston Celtics, despite how good they've looked, especially since reacquiring Jason Tatum and getting him back on the floor. But here we are. They really thought it was their year. The Motor City thought they were going to be vroom vroom and all the way down to the finals and shit. I thought they were at least going to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals before they fell off, but it's looking iffy. It's looking iffy. Wouldn't it be some shit if the Orlando Magic make it to the Eastern Conference Finals? Wouldn't that be some shit? I believe that would be the first time since Dwight Howard led them there. And I think Dwight led them there twice, if I'm not mistaken. 2009 season and 2010, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and they lost to Boston, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that. Yeah, the Detroit Pistons. Wow. Oh, boy. I don't know what else to say, man. It was a good game. It was definitely a good game. It was fun to watch. I love me some low-scoring, physical games, defense. As long as it's not ugly, right? Ugly where it's like it's not necessarily the defense causing missed shots, but these guys just suck offensively. I didn't feel it was quite that. I definitely thought it was a physical game. But the Detroit Pistons have got to have better offensive execution, and they have got to take care of the basketball better. It is going to be hard to beat a team when you are accumulating 10 more turnovers than them. 10 more. Not only do you lose a possession, but there's a high probability that the other team is scoring off turnovers in the fast break. So you got to take care of the basketball. You got to. I mean, Cade Cunningham is pretty much their primary facilitator and point guard. What the Detroit Pistons need to do going into next season is find them a point guard, a de facto point guard, a traditional point guard to help Cade Cunningham run that offense. They desperately need that. And don't get me started on Caris LeVert. Caris LeVert is supposed to be a bucket. He played almost 30 minutes and had nothing to really show for it. So Caris LeVert and the rest of that bench has got to show up more. They've got to. More minutes, more touches. I actually am very excited to watch this next game, Game 5 in Detroit. I am curious to see how the Detroit Pistons respond to this loss because the Magic, they do not seem worried at all. The aura I'm getting from the Magic is the same aura that I was getting from the Minnesota Timberwolves against the Denver Nuggets. They do not seem concerned in the least bit, and I feel like they are brimming with confidence. Whoo, boy, the old NBA slogan. I love this game. I don't know if they still do. They still do that anymore? I love this game? Or was that specifically like a NBC thing? I can't remember. Or ABC thing. I love this game. I can't remember. Let me know in the comment section. Shout out to all you Orlando Magic fans out there. I don't know if there's any on this channel or anybody watching. I just stumbled across my channel. But hey, man, y'all went from the play-in, into finding yourselves, in the jungle rumbling with the Detroit Pistons, and you're now in a good position to move on to the second round. So hopefully you guys could hold forward and get it done. That's all I gotta say about it. We out, baby.